let's get into some news, sir. Financials are out. Manchester United reports second quarter fiscal 2026 results. They're shining them up, sir. Net, give us the net. It seems like we are just drowning in debt. Am I right or wrong?
Obviously, something here on the American Devils podcast we cover is the financial results for Manchester United. There's a lot of BS to cut through when they announced top line results, which came out February 25th, and then they proceeded their quarterly filing with a little more detail. But just giving everybody the headline, it's like the financials drop, and everyone's like, "Oh, Manchester United, they made net income in Q2. It's a profit of 19.6 million pounds." And obviously, if you're actually experienced in the financial sector like you and me are, especially related to public companies and their filings, you're really looking at cash flow for United is the concern. Any asset or company that has so much debt, the health of that company is determined by how much cash you generate. Net income is really a fungible number as it relates to like technical accounting and taxes. And what you're really concerned about is what's my net cash I'm spending every quarter. And when you look at that, our cash plunged 36 million in Q2. We're bleeding still. When it comes from a profitability perspective, it's just not there from a cash flow perspective. When you look at, adjusted EBITDA, which is a bunch of BS, is, fans of Charlie Munger know that that's not a real number. We only have 44 million left in the bank. And oh, by the way, we increased the amount of the revolver, which is basically the credit card. So last filing, they had 265 million pounds on the revolver. They increased that to 295 million pounds. The max of the credit card is 350. We are not paying that down. We are not generating cash. We are adding more debt and losing money. This team it's crippled financially. The only thing that makes sense about Manchester United is just their overall enterprise value, which is that the club is worth a lot of money. But as it relates to the day-to-day P&L and function of this team, the debt costs us about 50 million pounds a year.
Crazy.
Right? And that's like a 50 million pound signing every
year
over year. And so all Jim did was come in, send a check directly to the Glazers, put 250 million into this team, and it's broke. And actually, he's added more debt on in the form of this revolver. If you look at the entire debt and you break it down, saying how much debt is on this team, it's almost 1.3 billion pounds. It's incredible. It's a record debt number in Q2. Nobody's talking about that. All the socials United were like, "Oh, the turnaround under Sir Jim." There is zero turnaround. This club is being run in a way where they have to make Champions League football, or there's going to be serious, dire straits from a financial perspective. I think that's why we're hearing rumors of a deal or a cash infusion. Those are probably on the sidelines, and they're waiting to see if they make Champions League football to see if that's necessary. If we make Champions League, it will bump it up and it will allow us to like get our head above water for another year. But until we start turning over Champions League qualification, you're not really going to see any progress on the financials. It just isn't there. We need a new owner. We need this debt cleared off the books. There's no way around 1.3 billion pounds in debt, 50 million in interest a year. That's a 50 million pound signing. That's almost Acuna and Mbumo that we are not playing with every year because of the debt the Glazers have put on this club. That debt, 81 million in senior notes, that's the original debt from the LBO, never been paid down. Then you have the revolver, which has just been, the credit card's been ramped up over the last 4 years, almost 300 million pounds on that and not going down. And then you have the transfer money owed is about 447 million. This club is absolutely broke. There's nowhere to go. Champions League football lets them live another season, but it's not helping this club. It's not helping Manchester United. These owners are terrible. They got to go.
No, absolutely right. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you mentioned a terrific, sir, world-class, legendary investor in Munger. It was either Munger or Buffett who was like, the best way to kill a great company is debt, because it's basically like, there's no way to get out of this. There's like when Jim came in and didn't do a full buyout and let the Glazers hang around, and the cap table or the capitalization structure did not change in a way that like cleared out some of the debt. This was inevitable. It doesn't matter how good we get, we basically are never going to be able to outrun this anchor that's just hanging around our neck, because the amount of money, like you said, that we're paying an interest means that we can't compete against the top teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, and City, who spend now meaningful amounts more on salaries than we do, even without Champions League football. And it's only pointing to one direction. Even if we start doing consistent finishes in the Champions League, maybe even progressing later in, which you do make a little bit more money if you go further through the tournaments, this ends in one way. Someone has to buy this club, clear out the debt, and basically start over. Like from an operation standpoint, we are a little bit healthier, but you can't outrun this debt. It just keeps going up. And like you said, can this team really consistently expect to finish in the top 5 going forward? Probably not.
I mean, are we? We need a new stadium.
I know.
We need an entire like we might not even be able to get through this year if we didn't make Champions League football. And that's the crazy thing is that we need it so bad, and that's like bailing out this horrible ownership. But there's no stadium in sight. We need a new like to compete on the
No
world
talk on that, by the
stage.
way. No talk on that. There's
No, but to
nothing.
compete with Real Madrid, to compete with Barcelona, we need to be hosting like NFL games. We need to be hosting tournaments. We need to be hosting concerts. Like there's things that will generate revenue for this team and Manchester United, and that's going to lead to the health and the prosperity of our club for future generations. And that requires money that these owners don't have. What's the plan? Where's the money? Like, where's the money, Lebowski? What are they going to do? Again, this is why we protest this ownership. They made a calamity. By the way, they spent 50 million on interest. They spent 50 million firing people who they hired, by the way. So it's been a shit show. Sir Jim didn't have the money to fix anything at United. This deal is looking worse and worse, and the fact this revolver keeps going up is not good news for United. It'll be interesting to see. We cover the financials every quarter. We'll keep you posted on how everything rolls out throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, but this is something that United eventually it's going to catch up to them, even if they finish the Champions League at the end of this year.